There are so many people out there that have Alzheimer's disease, and unfortunately the focus tends to be on finding a cure or finding a medication to slow the progression of the disease. But in that comes this horrific perspective that when people have Alzheimer's disease, they're a sufferer from Alzheimer's. You often hear that in the media. President Reagan died after years of suffering from Alzheimer's, and so that perception exists that when you have Alzheimer's disease, you will automatically suffer. And a lot of the energy out there is around finding a cure or finding a medication to slow the progression. And while I think both of those things are very important, I ask myself, what are we doing now to help the millions of people who have Alzheimer's disease or related dementia? What are we doing now to help that person not suffer, but to live a life of quality, to coexist with the disease? Yes, they have it. We can't heal the brain, but we can heal their soul. At every stage of dementia, somebody still has remaining abilities. Do we see those abilities? Do we walk into a room and expect that this person is going to have the opportunity to communicate and have a loving relationship, even when they have Alzheimer's? Or do we walk into the room and see them and expect that they're going to have confused speech, or they're going to lose their attention span and not be able to engage in a conversation and not be able to enjoy an activity? So what inspired me was that I learned that most people think about folks who have Alzheimer's as basically having everything taken away from them. They live in a world of loss and despair. And unless we can find a cure or unless we can give a drug, they're going to suffer. But I knew that wasn't true. As a therapist for many years, I knew that leading with the belief that this person was still whole and could still interact and communicate and love and be loved often led to that result. And that just drove me. I remember one day sitting with somebody at a community. She had Alzheimer's and she was sitting alone on a bench. And I came up and I said, "Can I sit with you for a while?" And the first thing that she said to me is, "No, no." And she pushed me away, and somebody came up and said, I told you. She doesn't want it. She just wants to be left alone. She's fine, just leave her alone." And I said, "No, I want to get to know her." In 5 minutes, we were sitting on the swing, holding hands. She was telling me stories, although confused, but telling me stories about her past, but she kept squeezing my hand tighter and tighter and tighter. That was a meaningful experience. That was a meaningful experience for her. It was a meaningful experience for me. You know that caregiver at that facility looked at that, and I thought, you know what, she's going to get it. She's going to say, wow, I didn't know that potential for her to interact was still there. But that caregiver said to me, I told you she was confused. So being able to help people reframe their thinking about people from Alzheimer's, people with Alzheimer's, being able to reframe the way they think about people with Alzheimer's became important to me. It's not you have purpose in this society if you are normal, if you can do the things the way you used to do them. You can communicate the way you used to communicate. It's not that. It's you still have purpose in this society. You still bring me joy. You still can receive joy as long as you can still interact and engage. That may change, but it's still important. So that became my mission, is helping people with Alzheimer's to flourish at every stage of the disease. We often think of people with dementia as in negative terms, and that leads to negative outcomes. And we have to start understanding that. So if we see a person who has the ability to walk and come up and ask a question, even if the question is, have you seen my mom? But if that person's walking down the hall and they're asking for something and they're picking objects up, oftentimes that person is labeled in a negative way. They're labeled as a wanderer or a rummager or confused, or worse yet, they're labeled as a problem. Instead, this person is showing us all that they can still do. And it's the reframing that becomes so essential to unlocking the functional and quality of life potential inside of each of these individuals with Alzheimer's. So instead of seeing that person as a confused wanderer who rummages, that person can still walk. That person desires to get up and engage with the environment and someone. That's a strength. That's something we can work with and we want to help build up. That person can use their hands. That person can say a few words. All of those abilities were still there, but it was our perspective that framed them in an either negative way or a positive way. And when you think about that very important part of perspective, it's everything. It's everything. Because if we see that person in a negative way, we're going to get negative outcomes. Because what would probably come from seeing them as a wandering rummager is maybe a medication to slow them down. A negative response, like, sit down, Millie. And then that little soul inside begins to wither. The person who wanted to engage with me now is scared to do so. And probably that accelerated the whole request to get home. The request that we hear from people with Alzheimer's, have you seen my mom? How do I get home? All we got to do is stop and think about what's the emotion behind that. My gosh. So that perspective of negative labels, people with dementia can't do anything anymore, has led to these people wanting to escape. Escape to a place in which they feel welcome just as they are today. You know, I walked into a community once, a nursing home, pretty good one. It's not the point, but there was a new admission, a resident with Alzheimer's who was sitting in the dining room. And a lot of people who have worked in nursing homes probably have seen somebody just like her before. She was sitting at the dining room table screaming, "Help! Help! How do I get out of here?" And I was a consultant in the building, and I walked up and I responded to that, and I said to one of the team members, "What's wrong with this lady over here?" "Oh, that's nothing. She always does that." The more that this lady verbalized that request for help, the more the staff scattered because they didn't know what to do with her, and she was just beginning to become a problem. So finally I noticed that she kept saying, "I want to get to the second floor, help! I want to get to the second floor." So I approached her and I said, "Hi, my name is Kim. How are you today?" And I held her hand and she held mine. "Leave me alone!" So I thought, okay, well, I need to work a little harder to gain her respect and trust. So I stayed there a couple moments. Finally, she started calming down. And I asked the obvious question, "What are you looking for?" Because she kept saying she wanted to get to the second floor. I said, "What are you looking for?" And she said something I will never forget. She said, "I'm looking for my friends and myself." Just think about that. Can you imagine the depth of that woman's loneliness and fear? She's sitting in this place in which she feels so lost and so alone. She's looking for her friends and herself because she feels so disconnected from who she is. I can't imagine that feeling. I can't imagine there being anything worse. So when I think about making life a better place for people with Alzheimer's, my first thought is making sure that every one of those individuals feels alive and loved, number one. And they're looking for their mother. They're looking for that love and acceptance and that comfort and safety that Mom offers for most of us. When they're looking for home, they're not looking for the bricks and the mortar. Don't confuse that. They're not looking for that. They're looking for what home represents. A place where there's love, comfort, familiarity, purpose. We can create that for these people at every stage of dementia. It is possible. We have done it, and they deserve it. We have to move mountains to make sure that that happens for these individuals. We've got to stop making excuses. It's not too many tomorrows, then it may be us. And more than likely, we all probably have someone in our life who has Alzheimer's or a related dementia. It's my mission, it's my ministry to make sure that when somebody has Alzheimer's, that dignity, that respect, that purpose in life, that safety, that love is not taken away. So I really ask all of us to think about what can we do to first and foremost prioritize that emotional quality of life and well-being. And along with that is that whole concept of purpose. We have to have people doing things and engaging in things that give them a sense of satisfaction and success, joy, and a reason to swing their legs over the edge of the bed in the morning and get up. And just again, because somebody has Alzheimer's doesn't mean that that has to be taken away. We take it away from them because we have that belief that because their brain is not functioning the way it used to, they don't remember as well, or they don't learn as well, or they don't attend as well, that they can't do the things they always did. That's not true. Just like we simplify activities in life for children so they can feel success and build self-esteem and be engaged, this is what we need to do for those with Alzheimer's and dementia. I can't heal their brain, but I can heal their soul. I can give them a reason to get up tomorrow. And the way I do that is by changing something about myself first, which is my belief and perspective about what the potential is for these individuals and what's important. I change my style of communication so I know that we're understanding each other. I have to change that. I make sure I don't do anything until I have this person's trust and agreement. I don't force anything on them. I don't make them comply. I learn what's important to them. So I change me. I change the environment around them so that they can be successful. And I change whatever their beloved activity is so it's at the just right match. Whatever skills they still have remaining, they can use. Whatever they can't do anymore, that's okay, I'll do it. Just like a 2-year-old can go through their morning care routine, make a mess, do half of it, but walk away feeling great. The same is true for somebody with Alzheimer's. That's my mission. Help their soul to heal, give them a reason to live, make sure they feel like they're never alone.